Hello, viewers and subscribers. Welcome once again in my new screencast. Today, I try to discuss with you and also try to make some demo applications based on the Spring Boot, and also the PostgreSQL database, and then uh, that's uh, that's the reason why I try to make this screencast, because nowadays it is really important to deploy the applications with the systematic way with the containers. So already the Docker container is one of the most popular open source deployment container. So it is really flexible, and now it is really standard for any type of application deployments, and that's the reason. And how can you start for Docker and DockerCompose with different type of Java and Spring Boot application to deploy with the different environments, like development environment, test environment, release, and production environments. So I will go to the step by step, and then to make the demo. And this is the screencast, the initial screen. I will try to cover some theory part. How can you read, and how can you install the Docker with the different OS systems in the Windows and the Linux systems or other MX systems. But I will try to cover here the installation process for the Windows, the Docker desktop application or tools. And if you see the title like this, so I will try to make some REST API by using the Spring Data JPA, and publish some REST API, and this REST API and the backend server will be the PostgreSQL, and try to deploy the applications with the help of the Docker files and DockerCompose files. So that's the definition. So Docker, everybody know Docker is a really very simple text files, and DockerCompose, if you try to run the one times in all the services, all the depend on services. That means if you make some development with the your backend server with different databases, MySQL, so Postgres or Oracle, and then you have need to be installed your backend servers. That means you need some MySQL image or Postgres image or Oracle image, or other backend server image, and then you need to be build your um, application image, like from out of your standalone jar files. Because if you saw my channels, I did a lot of videos. How can you deploy your applications as a standalone jar files, and how can you externally configure those your applications, and you can install or deploy the applications any machines, any part of the world. So this is one of the previous screencasts I did. You can look for my channels, and how can you build a standalone jar files, and how can you build and how can you configure your standard jar file to install the different environments or different machines. And that's the reason, and that's the continuation. So if you look for the project structure, as I try to discuss with you, so we this part we already done it. So we already all the configurations, and then we have how can you build your jar files, and then out of the jar files you make some Docker image out of this, the Docker files. We will discuss it a bit later, this part. So you build your jar files, and you can just add or copy it in that file into the containers, the Docker containers, and out of these Docker files you build the Docker image. And we already did this image. I will discuss it a bit later for the complete part of the installation. How can you do, and how can you cross check how can you build your Docker image, and how can you how can you run, how can you configure your DockerCompose files, and how can you run the Docker files, and those all we will do together, no problem. And after that, when everything is done, you can also check your backend server, and even though we need to be checked together, we will do some postman checks, postman testing with the systematic configuration with the postmans, and then we'll do together with the configuration. So even though you can cross-check your backend servers if the server is running, because you see the application is running, and then even you can check it with your databases. You see that your database is really perfectly working as we expected, all the tables, all the informations, and then so on, so on, so forth. So that's things we will do really together. How can you start the deployment? How can you install the your end products or your deployments into the different environments, as like continuous integration and continuous deployment in the pipeline. That's the reason it's really important to close loop at it. And then if you are beginners, and you can if you I believe if you look at it from very beginning to the end levels, you can get really clear understanding how we did a professional's application developments from the case to the production environments. So what we need to be install the Docker, and very fast, and with the different OS systems for the Windows or Linux or Ubuntu or Mac systems, and we needed your and and then there is additional tools is called the DockerCompose. So you see that you can go to this website. You see the Docker installation for Windows. You see the WSL2 backends, and then you need there is the installer is there, 64-bit. You see the requirement, just Google it, and then just you have it. The installer is there, just simply download and install the Docker desktops. This helps a little bit more if you are working with a GUI. If I show you after the installation of your Docker desktop, you see that this type of screen, and you have all the information, how many images into the new systems. You see the application is being put application image and Postgres image, and then you can see all the volumes into your applications, all the volumes that you need, the application data volumes. We will discuss a little bit more in detail what the main volumes means, how can you configure, how can you store your store or mount your local data set into the containers, and when the application started, and read the data from the your volumes points or mount points. And this is the container applications. You'll see that our application is running, and it has two services: is database, PostgreSQL database service, and the new applications is being good application service. It has a possibility you can stop, you can run, you can restart, and all the things for particular. This helps a little bit more if you work with the GUI application with Docker. So even though you can stop, you can delete it, and then you can do it directly. You can image select all the image inspect, pull, and push to the hub and remove it. So that means when your installation is done, then you have the same pictures like that I have it in the here. You can go on the same pictures. So let's do the installation part. So after the installation, you got the Docker desktop. This is described detail more here. Just follow the read through this all informations, and then after the installation of Docker desktops, you have just like activating this information. That's all. And then another tools you have DockerCompose file that I said already. Is the most important informations, like if you have different services, you need to write down one DockerCompose files, and that this compose file will be responsible for running the Docker, for running your different images into the containers, like your Postgres image or MySQL image, and then you need to be to run the URI